welcome back to Arkansas Soul Sessions, y'all. I am super excited about tonight's episode. And I hope the guest that we have tonight is also as excited as I am, who you may have seen singing on a stage near you. Though she's from Pine Bluff, she's joining us from the ATL, welcoming Asia.
Hello.
Hey, girl, I'm geeked. You don't know how excited I am.
I'm so excited too. So that makes two of us.
So I'm glad to have you. I'm glad you can make it. You were one of the first artists that I thought about when I wanted to start the show. So I initially reached out. We had a little, little road bumps, but we finally got you here. So I'm very excited. So on this show, I like to take the viewers on a journey of, how you began and then to where you are now.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
You're from Pine Bluff.
Uh-huh.
And your beginnings in singing, I read, started from moments with your family young. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think it's almost very cliche when people are like, "Oh, I've always been singing my whole life." But in my opinion, yes, I was always singing, but I didn't necessarily know that I could sing. Growing up in a large family, I'm one of five. My siblings grew up in church, and my mom was in the choir. My oldest sister was in the choir, so there was always music around. So we would sing, and I would sing, not thinking, "Oh, I'm singing because I'm sounding good." I'm singing because I like the music. I like how it feels. And so I always remember singing. I don't remember an age that I started, but around 8 years old, that was when I was first told that I sounded good. So I was like, hold on, I've been singing this whole time and now I sound good. So my mom took it upon herself to be like, oh, we're going to sing this at church. And the choir director, we sang it for him. And then this, I don't want to say whole big thing, but for me it was big as an 8-year-old. And so I sang that with my mom and my sister. Then I was like the first kid to join the choir, and I had on this huge robe that was swallowing me. And from there I would sing with my siblings, and the rest of us kind of joined together, and we would sing at church events. And then I did my first talent show around 11 or 12, and I realized like, oh, I can sing. Like, I like to sing. People like this, and with the talent shows, you can get paid for it. Yes. And then my first big talent show, people watching from Pine Bluff will know the Jabberwock. Have you ever heard of the Jabberwock?
The dancers?
So there's a dance team called the Jabberwock, but Delta Sigma Theta has a talent show when I was growing up. It was called the Jabberwock. And so every year around the same time they would have the talent show. It was from elementary kids to adults. And every age range would have a prize, and you would place in your age range. So I started that talent show, I think, at 11. And I did that for a few years before they stopped that. And then from there, I would, me and my mom would travel to other places around Arkansas doing talent shows. And then I did choir at school competing. So that was my, matriculation through music.
So from hearing that you could first sing and then all of the things that you did after that, was it just kind of an affirmation for you to keep going? Or was it something that you already wanted to do?
So funny enough, watching all the MTV, BET, and all those things, and then, the singing shows are really, really big. So I think from my remembrance, starting off, it was something that I liked to do. I did with my siblings, and my older sister taught me how to harmonize, because at that point, she was a soprano and my mom was a tenor, and so we would have to flip singing alto and soprano and stuff like that. So it was something that I liked to do, and we just had fun learning all the different songs. And so I think being able to do the talent shows was a big thing for me, because I get nervous every time I sing still today. But being nervous and then singing in front of people and the reaction of people, and it's kind of like a euphoric type of when you run, you work out and you feel good afterwards. It's that same feel. And you're nervous.
I don't know about feel good.
I don't know about that. I like to run just because afterwards I feel good. But it's that type of thing. I grew up playing sports, and so I was always nervous before a game. But then it's that adrenaline rush that you get with whether how I feel about the song or how people feel about it. So I experienced that, and I didn't have a name for it when I was a kid. And then 11, 12, the same thing, the bigger the stage, and it was just something that I really liked. So I'll say a bit of the affirmation along with that feeling that I couldn't put a name to that I really liked.
So speaking of the nervousness that
Mhm.
came with that, what are some things that you do to kind of get through the performance?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, so I'll say when I first started singing in front of larger crowds, like my first talent show, I don't know who told me this, but they were like just lock in on a light
Mm-hmm.
or a person or something so that you want. Sometimes when you're singing in front of people, your brain can wander. And I think locking in on something, a person, a light, or something allowed me to either remember the words in my head or kind of space out to where I wasn't nervous. And so now the things that I do, I think I focus more on crowd engagement now because the more that people are into it, the more comfortable that I become. Because when you are going different places, like I perform so much in Palm Bluff and Little Rock that the nervousness isn't the same as now performing in Atlanta. And
Mm-hmm.
so, or these shows different nights. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be nervous at first, but when I start singing, then there's a crowd response. And then it's like, okay, I'm locking in on you. Like,
Yes.
I'm talking back to you or I'm doing crowd control. And I think that also softens the room as well. So it's like, I'm locking in on you. We're here. And then that makes everybody comfortable, even me. So,
And speaking of singing in front of crowds
mhm.
and people in general, something that I wanted to bring up is that you auditioned for American Idol and The
Yeah.
Voice, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
Whew, those shows killed my spirit. But no, but I auditioned really young though. So the last time that I auditioned for The Voice twice and American Idol once, but my first audition ever, I can't remember if it was The Voice or American Idol, but I know I did one. I was probably eighth or ninth grade, and my mom drove us to Dallas. And me and my older sister, she sings, and we missed school. And I was like, I'm gonna be on The Voice. And I got through the first round, and then the second round, you cut down the amount of people, and so it just really just was like a gut punch for them to say, oh, you sound good, but you're not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And as a 14-year-old, 13, 14-year-old, I couldn't really comprehend how do I sound good, but I can't make it past this round. And then I actually auditioned for American Idol twice. I'm thinking about it. And then I think the next year I did, so that was The Voice, and the next year I did American Idol, which was here in Little Rock. And then I did The Voice again, audition when I think it was 2019,
Okay.
2018 or 2019, I was living in DC. I flew to Chicago for like 24 hours and I auditioned. And then I auditioned for American Idol in 2019 as well in DC. So it's kind of the same thing. My last time auditioning was in DC and it was kind of like oh, you like love your voice, but it's just not what we're looking for. And after that, I think I came to terms that I don't necessarily need a show to do what I want to do, and that's been proven. So,
Yes, it definitely has. And I'm so glad that you mentioned DC because I want to
mm-hmm.
talk about your time there.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that you said you began writing poetry with
Mm-hmm.
no intent of making songs while
Yeah.
living in Arkansas. You moved to DC for college,
Mm-hmm.
where you studied law.
Yes.
We love that. and
Howard Law.
okay, and then during college, you sort of steered away from music
Mm-hmm.
and took a liking to basketball.
Uh-huh.
What influenced that decision? Was it
So, let's rewind a little bit. So, I played basketball since I was 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I played basketball since I was 5 years old. I played at the rec. I played AAU basketball, and the point of playing AAU was to get a scholarship
Gotcha.
to school. And so I ended up getting an academic scholarship full ride to UAPB.
Okay.
And my alma mater, I'm third generation of UAPB. My grandparents, my parents went to UAPB. And so what I ended up doing was I was playing basketball, but I kept my academic scholarship, and I ended up blowing out my knee. I tore my ACL my junior year. I was gonna make a comeback, but my surgery and everything was really, really complicated. So I ended up, because I wasn't signed to, how can I say this? Because I wasn't on scholarship with basketball, I was able to leave basketball my senior year and keep my academic scholarship. And I moved to DC during my senior year to do an internship fellowship with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. So
Okay.
my undergrad degree is in political science, and that's how I ended up in DC working in Congress. And then I knew I wanted to go to law school, and my sophomore year in undergrad, I met the deans at Howard, and I spoke with them, and then that was kind of like where I was locked in. So being in DC for that program,
Yeah.
my senior year of school, I met more people at Howard. I got a job in criminal justice reform. I took a gap year, and then I went to Howard Law.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad you gave me that
Yeah.
rundown because I was doing research and I was like, okay, she went here and then she
Yeah.
did this and then we need to talk
So
about.
basketball was the vehicle, and so the two things that I've always done. I played lots of sports growing up, but basketball and music were like the two constant things that would get the most time for me. So if I did choir in high school as well, and I would compete for regionals and all state and things. And so one thing that I think a lot of people and coaches would tell me is that you have to choose, you have to choose. And so my parents weren't of that opinion. So the day of my all state choir competition, I worked really hard and I got second chair, and it was my senior year, and my high school coach told me I had to choose between my all state competition choir and this game that we had. So instead, my mom, we played the game in the morning, and my mom drove me, she drove me to Monticello for practice, drove me back for the game that morning, and then drove me back, that afternoon for the game, and then drove me back to Monticello for my choir performance. And I was literally running on stage right as we were
That
getting
is
ready
some
to.
dedication. And we love supportive parents.
We do.
Oh my goodness.
I love you, Mama. And I said that's something that sticks with me forever, because there are so many things that I was able to do and take a liking to. So as an adult, I don't feel stifled. And I have hobbies, I have a career, and then I have things that I'm extremely passionate about. So I really owe that one to my parents.
Yeah, that's good that you have your hand in different pots because you often see, some people have a plan and no plan B and they make it, but then some people don't. And then they don't have that thing to fall back on, and they're kind of.
And that makes you, I think it makes people really bitter moving through life, especially like former athletes. A lot of times injuries can bring on depression because you don't know what's next, or you kind of put everything in that bucket. And I'm all for going like full-fledged towards a goal, but I'm glad that I had other interests, because I was able to kind of bounce back a little bit better from my injury, because it was like, okay, basketball was the vehicle to get me to school. I ended up getting a full ride academically, but I traveled. I met great people. I had great coaches. Me and my sister that's a year younger than me, we played basketball together in college. So it was like all of these experiences that were really, really great. And so when I realized that I wouldn't be able to come back from my injury, I was able to pivot really quickly and not miss a beat.
Now, is it true that while you were in DC, you kind of found your way back to music through a friend in a studio?
Yes.
I want to know. I want to know that story.
Yeah. So, my friend's name is Ralph. So, while I was in undergrad at UAPB, I signed up for a study abroad program in Beijing, China. And so because when I tore my ACL and I went to the doctor, we were doing surgery, and then my first question was to him was like, hey, I have this study abroad at this day. Will I be able to go? And he told me no. And I was very determined to still go. And so I asked him, if I meet these benchmarks after surgery, can I go? And he was like, yeah, whatever. But he didn't believe that I could. And so barely made it to that benchmark, but I had to go to Beijing 3 weeks later than everyone else. So an 8-week program turned into 5 weeks for me. And so I met Ralph, which they gave him a name in China. They call him La Fu, so we called him La Fu.
Okay.
And he's from the DMV area, and we sang and did so many things there. At the end of our program, we had like a banquet, and I sang there, and he was singing. I think he sang as well, or he was helping us. But when I went to DC, he was one of the first people that I contacted, and he picked me up from the airport, and he was like, well, I have this studio session if you want to come. And that was my first time ever being in the studio, and it was like 5 more minutes left of his session, and he was like, hey, my friend want to get in there, and I was like, no, I don't. And that's kind of how it happened, because back to the American Idol and The Voice and things, I always thought that I had to have those shows in order to make it to music. And so just that one time going to the studio with Ralph and meeting other producers and stuff kind of opened my mind back to how I could do it by myself. Well, not by myself, but without a label or different things like that. Yeah.
Now, were you writing at this time?
Yes and no. So, to the poetry point, I'd always written poetry down in my phone and different things like that, with no intent of it being a song because I had never really written a song. So, poetry, I was doing poetry still, and I started writing after that.
So, okay, you're in DC.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the DC area.
Okay, yeah,
Era.
we're in the DMV. Yeah.
So you traveled back and forth to Atlanta. What was that experience like for you? Traveling from DC
From
to
DC to Atlanta. So actually, my first time going to, not my first time ever going to Atlanta, but my first time going to Atlanta while I was living in DC was at the height of the pandemic. So, long story short, how can I make this long story short? So, my oldest sister went to UAPB, and she was in Vesper Choir. She had a choir mate who is a producer living in Atlanta, and we connected on social media, but it was the pandemic. I ended up going home to Arkansas so I wouldn't be by myself in DC, and I was sending him some things, and I had a song that I was working on, and I was like recording it in my bathroom, and he was like, you have to record this all over again. And I kind of had a date that I wanted to release the song, and I was like, I absolutely cannot. And so I was like, can I come to Atlanta? And so I drove from Arkansas to Atlanta, and we redid the song. I re-recorded it. Black in the Creative Villains, that's the producer duo that I started working with in 2020, and I've been working with them since.
Yes.
Most of my music is produced by them, so that one drive to Atlanta turned into me flying back and forth every couple of months from DC, and now I just live down the street from the studio that I started going to in 2020.
And I'm glad that you brought up the Creative Villains, that duo, because I wrote it down here. Y'all have built a relationship.
Yes.
Talk to me about that first link up.
So I was excited about it, but I was also kind of nervous because I'd heard I had heard some of the things that they had done, but I was like, okay, I haven't been in the studio that much other than with the producer that I was going to the studio with in DC, but my oldest sister knew him. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I drove there with a friend of mine that I grew up with, and he's from Arkansas as well.
Okay.
And so I went there, and I was kind of nervous. And at the time, I had this electric guitar, and I packed it in the trunk. And that first meeting was just like my whole world opened up. And because Black and 3, that's the producer's name.
Yeah, we have them showing right here.
You got them on the screen? That's me and 3. But Black and 3 were so open to and collaborative, and they were open to teaching, and we talked about music. They told me about contract things. They were just the music industry is very male dominated. So to be a woman, most like coming on my own and having like not even a foundational level at that time, because I had just finished my first year of law school, so I hadn't even gotten to music and intellectual property law. So they were kind of giving me so much information, books to read, podcasts to listen to, and they really, at that point, I had a idea of how to structure songs already, but they really helped me sharpen that. And I don't think I believed in myself as much as I should have at that point. And they were the ones to really be like, hey, you really got something here. You might want to, really cultivate this and get these resources and things to really work on it. So they really pushed me in the direction that I'm in right now.
And it sounds like they're a really good support system for you. I want to get into some of the releases that you have with them. So the first one that I want to get into, we're going to go in order.
In order. Okay.
So you released your first single, All I Want, in 2021.
So
I knew you were going to do this.
Yes.
I knew you were going to do this. I saw this on Spotify, and I said, I saw it 2 different ways.
Oh, yeah, okay, so something happened with that, and I had to re-upload it. So Broken was first, and then it was All I Want. But I recorded those the same weekend with them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So this one we're showing is All I Want, but this is actually the second
The
one.
second one, yeah.
Correct. And then we have followed by Element.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, since I had that flipped over. But the first time that I heard of you was Broken, actually.
Okay.
And like I was telling you before we started the show, it was through a share on social media.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, okay. She's from Arkansas. She's from Arkansas, and she's doing her thing. Now, I want to put this up here. This is actually you and your sister, correct?
Yes, it's me and my baby sister. This was the summer of 2020, when I had just gotten back from recording with the Villains, and I wanted to do a music video, which she creative directed. My sister's an artist, and I wanted an outfit, and I couldn't find it on Fashion Nova, and something else was sold out. So I was like, let's make it. I don't know how to sew. She knows how to sew. She taught me how to sew to make that outfit, and what I have on in the music video is what she and I made.
Yes, it'll pop up again soon here. But that's just so dope to have family who can hit that talent to sew.
Yeah. We were up all night.
Like I'm like,
we were up all night,
and that's the outfit right
the
there.
Outfit. I have not worn it since. But yeah, it was. I was just so, I knew what I wanted. I knew the look that I wanted. And my sister, it was her boyfriend at the time, but her now husband, we were out in the field, and she was like, can you come and cut the grass? It's too hot for Asia to be in the grass. And we had a whole production. Like, it was.
That is so dope. I love that.
In the height of the pandemic.
You know, like I said, dedication is just keeps coming to my mind. Your story is just, that's the word that keeps coming to me. Now I want to get into the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I love this
okay.
one. Leave It All Behind.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, okay. Now it's not a coincidence that I say this, because this is around the time that you went to Atlanta, correct, and worked with creative villains. So having that support, like I said, is very important, because this song right here did it for me. Yeah. I really loved this song. Talk about the video.
Yeah. So I had no ideas, actually. I was literally blanking on this video. So this song was really what's the name of the movie? I think it's called The Adam Project or something, where the guy, he was coming back. He was an adult. He was coming back to save his wife. And so he had to come back into a different timeline when he was a kid and kind of do the thing. So when I saw that movie, I was like, he kind of left everything that he knew to save his wife. Like, I will leave this current knowing and everything, and in every lifetime, I will want you to be that person. And so I didn't want to do a full video because the budget is in danger. Yeah. So the videographer, his name is Shano. And we just had an idea, like, dark outside, nice colors. It was probably like February, March when I shot it. And so, like, let's keep it simple but really high quality.
Now, with this video right here, I love the caption that you use on social media. Yeah. I think it was like, when your producers hate the original hook, and this is why you're hearing what you're hearing now. Yeah. Talk to me about being in the studio and having something, say you're pumped about it, like, oh, this hit right here. And you get in there, and they're like, nah, bruh.
So we have built a relationship where I really value their opinion. And so it wasn't that they didn't like the lyrics, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, like, this is great. And when I feel like something is really great lyrically, they usually agree, because I'm hard on myself with lyrics and things. And sometimes they think I need to be a little bit more simple. But they didn't like the way that I was singing it. And they were like, it's not believable. And I was like, I did this take, and I was like, yeah, I like it. And he was like, I don't. He's like, I don't believe you. And I was like, what do you mean? And so trying to get me to sing it in the way, and I was like, I don't know how you want me to sing it. And he was like, Asia, you're singing these lyrics that are really vulnerable, and at this point, I think you're singing it too strong. You should sound like I'm sad, or I will, you know, a little bit more emotive. And so because the first time that I worked with them, I was kind of guarded, because I didn't know what to expect. And then when I took their advice, it clicked. So my first mind is to try it and see. If I don't like it, then I'll make changes. But usually I always try to give their ideas a shot.
How does an artist get to the point of being receptive
Mm-hmm.
instead of resistant to something like that?
I think it depends on the chemistry because everyone you work with won't be the same. And I've noticed that other producers or engineers, um, they may be great, they may be talented, but you might not have the same gel with them. So the trust with them, it may build over time, or you may never build that trust with them because they may not. For me, growing up in a big home and playing sports and things, I value collaborative settings. So that's what I look for. And I think that if I work with someone who isn't as collaborative off the top, I have to tell them, like, hey, you can give me advice or you can tell me to kind of change it around. And if that's not how they work, then that's okay, but it might not be the best kind of scenery for me to get what I need to out of the song. And that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I have those expectations and I let people know up front. But sometimes it's just like an automatic gel that you can get in a couple of hours. And if you don't, then you might just have to move along.
Yeah, and it's always amazing to find, that person or those people
Mm-hmm.
that you can mesh with and create the work that you're creating.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We are kicking it with our girl Asia, and we're having a good conversation so far, so we're going to keep it going.
All right.
So then right after that, you released, well, no, On Your Heels with K Camp dropped on his album on
Okay.
K6.
Yes.
Whew, when I saw that, I remember seeing this on, I believe it was Instagram, and I was like, this was after I had started following you from Broken, and I was like, what? Okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah.
So the story that I heard was that you were on tour, Beautiful Conversations tour, right? 2024.
Yes.
And you guys kind of did a back and forth of a song that was on his previous album. You weren't even on the song.
No.
And then he liked it so much that y'all got into the studio
Yeah.
and created On Your Heels.
Yeah, like a little remix.
So let's start with you getting the call about the tour.
Okay, what's going through my mind when I got the call for the
Yes.
tour? I got the call and I'm immediately like, they asked like, okay, are you able to go on tour? I just say yes. I didn't think. I just say yes, and I was just like, okay, I can figure everything out later because it came about. Well, I shot my shot under one of his comments and was like, because the flyer said that it would be an intimate tour, and so I was just like, hey, I would love to vocal produce for some background singers because usually like Tiny Desk type of feel. That's the vibe that the flyer kind of gave me. So I was like, okay, I can just vocal produce something and send it because Black, a part of the Creative Villains, was his pianist at the time, and so yeah, I left that comment and then I asked Black like, hey, are y'all having background singers? I'm not asking to be a background singer. I'm just like, I can send some vocals over to you and y'all can give them to the singers. And he's like, hey, I don't know, I'm not sure. And so a few weeks later, I played basketball at UAPB with his sister. And so she hits
With
me
Black's
up
sister?
with, okay, I'm sorry. I played basketball at UAPB with K Camp's sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when I was a freshman, she was a senior, and we text from time to time, and she mentioned like, hey, I saw the comment that you made or whatever, and we kind of laughed about it, and then I got the call, and so I guess she had a conversation with him, and then Black had a conversation with him,
Yes,
not knowing that, and yeah, so I got the call, and going through my mind was just like, yes, figure it out later,
Yes.
and I figured it out later. At that time, I was working completely remote, but it was kind of like a part-time legal, and then I was also working at Sephora. So I paused my work at Sephora, and I said, it was the end of October, tour was in November. I said, I'll be back in December, guys. I'll be back in December. See you when I see you. And then work kind of picked up for my legal job, so I was working full-time and then doing the tour remote.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a drop everything. Well, I mean, that would make sense. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't want to.
Yeah, I was like, I need a job.
yeah,
I get
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, say yes, figure it out later. And then during the tour, I guess what was going through my mind was like, at first, I was extremely excited, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so brand new. And then it's like a switch, and it was just like work. It just felt like work, in a good way, but you know how you always wanted something and you get that thing and now it's your norm, and so sometimes you not even as present as you should be because you're now living in that answered prayer, and you have to kind of take a step back. And I found myself being like, okay, this is something that you dreamed of, like, you know, these are great moments, and I still find myself battling with trying to be present today because these things happen and I have to kind of take a step back and look at all of the progress that I've made, but it's still so much further to go. So yeah, it's just like saying yes and then moving in alignment with all those things.
So take me. Okay, so okay, I'm moving. My brain is
Yeah.
going. Da, 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 da. I need to really back in.
Yeah.
So I have on here that you guys got in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through that experience with him.
So before going into the studio to do On Your Heels on tour, we would go in the studio after certain shows. So if a show ends on a dot at 11, we might leave the venue at 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then we might make it to a studio about 1 or 1:30 or something. Then we'd be up for a few hours in the studio. So I had been in the studio with him to kind of see how he works, and he's really collaborative. And so by the time that we got to the studio to do On Your Heels, I kind of had a sense of how he worked, which is very quickly, and I kind of had to adapt to that because I was used to working at home, and so we already had the hook, you know, from the show.
Yeah.
So, and we kind of talked about how we wanted to do that, and I was like, I want to keep it as close as possible to how I did it at the show because that's what people responded to on social media. And then he wrote his verse, and I was doing my verse like in the studio. They call it punching in, like we try a line, don't like that, and kind of go back and forth. And
Oh, you're gonna have to break that down for me. I'm a little nerd, so
so basically punching, instead of like us writing everything and sitting over in the corner, you would be in the studio just mumbling and saying certain words, and it's like, okay, I have about 5 seconds of a verse, sing that, and then we'll go on to the next part. And that's how a lot of rappers work.
Okay.
It's quicker.
Okay.
With R&B, that's not usually how I work, but I'm trying to adapt to different people, and that's how we did it. And so we recorded that in February of 2025, and it came out in August.
So being in the studio, I only know you guys on 2 songs, the 2 songs that were on his album.
Yeah.
Did anything else expire from that come from those studio sessions?
Nothing else came from those studio sessions. I think what I found being in Atlanta and working with a lot more people is that artists have hundreds of songs. And I think that's the thing that's also other people that are in the industry and they realize it is kind of like you got a feature from a moment on stage. I got a feature from a moment on stage when these people have 200 songs that they're probably pulling from songs from last year, all these things. So I think it was just a testament to him realizing that, hey, this is what the fans want and this is something that moved them. So this is a good idea to kind of expound upon.
You know, I put on here #God's plan.
Yeah.
Because that is a crazy, I wouldn't even say crazy, but that is like a blessed story to have.
It's like very, I don't want to say odd, but it just, you go from 0 to 100 and overnight I had to figure out, like I just said yes, and overnight I had to figure it out. And still, like, that was my first tour, and with singing background, and he gave me a solo on the tour, like for intermission, and I didn't know that I was going to do that until I think it was probably Friday. Tour was starting on Tuesday, and he was like, you want to sing a little solo during the intermission? I was like, I thought I was just going to be standing back here doing oohs and ahs, but it's like, this is what I prepared for. I know I can do it, but it's just nerve-wracking, but when the opportunity presents itself.
And there's always a story. You know, you have your big stars. There's always a person.
Yeah.
This moment led me to hear. You know, you just, I don't know. It's just amazing.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I love that. Now, we're going to get back to the releases. You dropped Lockdown. I also love this song, too.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind this song? Because, listen, the lyrics, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, I'm also a songwriter. And I get hit up for ideas and different things. And so, a part of the Creative Villains duo, 3D, he hit me up and he had a base level idea, and I kind of took it and sped it up, and I just created this catchy hook, and I wrote the verse. At first, we were going to shop that verse, which means just like you send the verse or you send the song around to different artists who are looking for songs for their albums. And so people said they liked it, but it didn't really land anywhere. And he was like, you should kind of keep it for yourself. But at that point, I had only one verse in the hook. And so afterwards, I had a night out with a good friend of mine in Atlanta, like after being there for like a month. And the second verse was just about that night out, how, you have a good time and you're you go out looking good, smelling good.
Yeah.
Somebody want to buy you a drink, and then they clinging on you, and then it's like, hey, now if I would have known this, I would have bought it myself. But yeah, and so that was the second part of the song, which is funny enough. When I released a song, I just sent the link to my friend, and she was like, "Is this play about us?" And I was like, "Exactly." And so that's kind of where the inspo of the song kind of came together, and I think it's really fun.
Now you hit us with a 2-piece.
Yeah.
Time and Rather Be at the start of this year. Yeah. These are more ballads. With Time, you're talking about how time doesn't wait, so it's best, to live in the moment. And with Rather Be, you're talking about prioritizing yourself. Period.
Yes.
I feel like there's a story behind these songs. You being a songwriter, am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Let's get into it.
So with Time, no pun intended, I was going through a really, really rough time. So I moved last year to Atlanta, but the goal was always to move, but I went to an Airbnb. I was only supposed to have it for a month, and then every month rolled around, and I just kept extending, and then I ended up staying there, and I got to my apartment, and then things started falling through, and financially I was having a hard time, and the only thing that was my escape was writing music. And so the producer goes by the name of Not Your Average, and so Time and Rather Be weren't even purposeful. Those were just like, this is how I'm feeling, and it just came about. Like, Time is not a full song, it's kind of like verse and hook, and I just feel like I was going through a rough time, but I felt I'm very spiritual. I'm very spiritual. I pray, I talk to God. I have these very, very strong beliefs, and I have strong faith, but my faith was not matching my circumstances at all. And it was like, I know that I'm on the brink of something, but I kind of feel like I'm waiting for something to happen instead of once again being present. It's like, when this happens, I'll feel like this, or if I just get, or next month, if this and that. And I was just waiting for the things to happen in the future. But what was happening right now, that's why I say minutes turn to hours, turn to days, seasons change. But one thing remains is that time waits. So time waits for no one. So if it's January and I'm thinking about May, when we get to May, I can still be like, I should have enjoyed February. I should have done these things. And so those words just kind of came out. And while the producer, Nacho, plays the guitar, and while he was playing the guitar, I kind of wrote that in like 5 minutes. And it was kind of like
the whole song?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was just like sometimes I get into a flow state when I'm writing, and it's like I zone out, and it's just either I'm singing it into the mic or I'll just type. And when I was typing, I wasn't thinking of a melody. I was just kind of approaching it like poetry.
Is that the quickest? That just really blew me. 5 minutes is crazy. Yeah. Is that the quickest? The quickest song I've ever written?
Yeah. To date, yeah. I think I've probably done something like 10 or 15. But to date, that was the quickest thing, because the verse, I wrote that in my phone, and then I freestyled the hook. And we did that at like 2 a.m. one random weekday. And usually I go back in and tweak things to kind of make it a little bit more, make it cleaner. But I liked the voice breaks, and I liked how soft I sang, because that's how I felt, and we kept it that way. And I've never done that before, like kept something the same. So we kind of kept that.
So when you're in the studio, when you're by yourself, instead of, collabing with people, how do you work in the studio? Like, are you punching in, or are you just writing?
I usually write in my phone. And there are times when I'll just go in and I'll hum something, or I'll just let we go record in Pro Tools. I just let them press play, and I'll sing for about 5 minutes, and I'll go back and listen to what was the most catchy, and then I'll kind of take a second. But I'm working on. I want to move a little bit faster, so I'm practicing punching in and sitting back, because when you work in different groups, you need to be a little bit more flexible. So I'm working on all of those things, but that was like extremely quick, because I was like, I got something to say. I got like, but I didn't know what it was that I needed to say. And Natra, he gives feedback as well, really good with giving feedback. And I sang the whole thing, and then he didn't say anything, and I was like, you hate it. And he turned around and he was like, kind of in tears, and he was like, I feel the exact same way that you feel, but we hadn't talked about anything. And so after that, we had a long conversation about life. And it's just like, writing sessions and stuff can be very therapeutic. And then I'll say I did that, and then the very next week we did Rather Be.
What was that writing process like for time?
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah, very quick. Rather Be. So I actually started that idea in the shower. Those showers, walks, water, those are the best ideas. So I hopped out, and I'm pressing play so I can hum the melody that I have. And then I kind of held on to that for like a week, because actually I came up with that idea before time was even a thing.
Okay.
And then I was just scrolling through my phone, and I played the idea for him, and he was playing chords on the guitar. And so I finished the verse and the hook in one setting, and then months later we came back and I finished the song. And so we finished Time in June, I think. We did Time in either May or June. We started Rather Be in June. We finished Rather Be in October. And then in November, we talked about releasing in January.
Yes, I love me a good ballad. I'm not going to lie.
Me too. It's harder to write faster songs for me, because I'm just so deep. I'm an overthinker. I'm an overthinker. So I'll be like, this, I need an analogy. Like, this isn't deep enough. Like, people aren't gonna like it, or maybe I just don't like it. So
Yes. We love to talk about music. That is what this show is about, bringing on Arkansas artists. But in the meantime, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation that we're having, because I know I am. Now, I wanted to get into some music chit-chat with you.
Hey.
Let's talk about one of the recent R&B releases, Kehlani.
Yes.
Self-titled. It's so bad.
Yes,
it's been
it's
on
so
repeat.
good.
My favorite so far, hasn't changed, is I Need You, featuring Brandy, the one and only, and Lights On by Big Sean.
Okay.
What has been the one that you have just like clinged to?
Number one is I Need You.
Yes.
Lights On. Brandy, I love you so bad. And Kehlani, their voices really did well together. But I'll say top three, because I always have to give a, well-rounded. I Need You, Brandy, Still, and You Got It.
You Got It was good. I remember when I first talked to you about the album, You Got It was one that you mentioned.
Still is. It
is. One that I've recently started to like was Unlearn.
Okay. I like that first listen, but it didn't break my top 5.
Yeah, it's just so many.
Yeah.
Oh
a lot of good songs though.
Do you think it's R&B album of the year? We're kind of early.
Yes. Nobody is touching it so far. Hey, unless her comes out of the woodwork with the album, Jalen Josie has a really great project as well. But for a traditional R&B kind of sound, I don't see anybody talking about it.
You know what? You know who else they say is getting ready to drop?
Who?
I know you're a fan of her, Queen B.
Oh yeah. Now if Beyonce drops, she won't be in the R&B category.
No. What do you think it's gonna be? What
rock.
genre?
I think it's rock. I think it's rock, definitely. I'm chronically online for the TikTok videos and all the things, but especially to see the last 2 albums being different genres, and it's like, okay, she's done R&B till she was blue in the face, and I love R&B, Beyonce, but I think that her exploring different genres gives other artists the freedom to genre bend.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When I was younger, I didn't really understand the influence of Beyonce. But I say around the time that, ooh, please don't eat me up for saying that. I didn't mean it in that way.
No.
I was young. Like, I wasn't really just listening to full albums.
Yeah,
I didn't listen to a full album until 2 albums. I'll go the R&B side. Was Beyonce's 4.
Okay, this is a good time to pick it up. That's a good time to pick it up. Yeah. I had the CD.
That was the first time, like, I had stream. I think I don't even know if Apple Music was a thing then, but I had like something I was streaming on.
Yeah,
that was the first album that I listened to.
Probably.
And then after that, I kind of like prioritized of listening to first listen.
Top to bottom,
Yeah,
yes. You have to listen to projects top to bottom. There's a reason that people put it in that order, and I am very anal about that. Like, don't go shuffling somebody's album, people.
Please don't, because you need the story.
First listen at least. I'll say the first 2 listens I don't shuffle.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I'm the same way. And I learned that because usually sometimes albums are a story. Like each song leads into the next. Not all albums, but some of them lead into the next.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to press play and not shuffle.
Yes.
Now, speaking of good music and collabs, I have a fun game for you.
Okay.
It's called Featured Joint Scrap.
Okay.
Do you have
Featured Joint
Scrap?
Okay.
Kind of like, let me just explain it to
Okay.
you. So I'm going to list 3 artists.
Okay.
And you're going to pick which one you would like to have a feature from.
Okay.
Create a joint project with.
Okay.
And just scrap all together.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, first round. I mean, you kind of already have this one, but
Well, let's see.
K Camp, Eric Bellinger, and Wale.
Okay. Since I already have a feature with K Camp, I would go joint with K Camp. I would go. Ooh. I love Wale.
Yes, Wale.
Okay, so yeah, I love Wale. So sorry, Wale. If you see this, I want a feature still. But I would go joint with K Camp. I would go feature with Eric Bellinger because he is an amazing writer and R&B songwriter. I would have to scrap Wale.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We love Wale.
Yeah, we do.
Janae Aiko, I know you love. Alex Isley, who is also amazing.
Yes.
And Snow Allegra, my personal fave.
Okay. So
I love this reaction.
Yes. I'm like, oh my God, these are hard. So I would feature Snow. I would joint Janae. And I love Alex. I'm so sorry, but I would have to scrap. These are hard. I would have to scrap Alex. I would have to spin the block, though.
Brandy, Jasmine Sullivan, and Queen Bee.
Please, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Brandy and Beyonce are like my 2 top influences. So I would have to. Oh my God, I can't say that. I would have to joint Beyonce. I have to join Beyonce. I would have to. Why are you making me do this? I would have to feature Brandy. Oh, Jasmine, please, if you see this, I would have to scrap it. And I'm only saying this because Jasmine Sullivan is amazing. She's a legend, but she's also like, I feel like she is under the tree of Brandy. So
I can see that.
Yeah, like, you know, with the vocal acrobatics and things. So that was so hard. I don't know why you did that to me.
Okay, we're gonna go producer wise now.
Okay.
Dark Child, Jermaine Dupri, Brian Michael Cox.
Okay, so I'm finna hit you with a doozy on this one. I would joint Dark Child.
Okay.
Because Dark Child produced a lot for Beyonce and Brandy.
Yes.
And I have a playlist that's kind of like inspired for a project with him. And then I would feature, you know that Jermaine Dupri and Brian Michael Cox work together.
Yeah,
so
they kind of, okay.
I would feature with Brian Michael Cox and get some Jermaine Dupri production, and then I just, the other one, scrap.
Okay, you hit me with a little one too, because they do work together.
Yeah, they
which
do work
I love
together. I'll probably scrap Jermaine Dupri.
That was a fun game.
Yes,
we had
that
more.
was hard.
We had more, but we had to condense it down.
That was hard. That was very.
You
hard.
know, I love to hear that things are hard. That means I'm doing my job right.
That was very hard.
Now we're gonna bring up some videos of you to kind of close out the interview. I hate to see you go.
Oh.
So this part is just you like telling the audience what you have planned for this year. And just things people can look forward to.
Very vaguely, I guess. You can look forward to new music. I don't want to give away too much because, things change, but um, I'm working really, really hard on new music, working to further cultivate my sound and collaborate with a lot more writers and producers as well, working on something with the creative villains too. We have been locked in for a long time. So, and also more performances and a deeper presence on social media consistently with high quality content and things. So I think the music is always coming, but I think it's just the way that I plan to package it and the story of it, because I just have so much to say as a grown up. It's a lot different from when I first started music. So I'm super excited to be doing that, and to be doing that in a city like Atlanta where the possibilities are endless, and I feel very comfortable and empowered.
Now, for people who want to stay connected, where can they find you on social media and listen to your music?
Okay, you can find me everywhere on social media at Asia the Great. That is AJIATHEGREAT. On TikTok, there's an underscore after Asia the Great. Same thing with YouTube. So everything is Asia the Great.
Yes, make sure y'all tap in with her. She's great, and I can't wait to see everything that she has stored for us this year. Now, for anybody who wants to stay up to date with this show, Arkansas Soul Sessions, make sure that you guys scan this QR code that we have here on the screen. I think this is, well, I know for sure, this is Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Whichever poison you choose, follow us, and yeah, stay up to date on everything with the show. And we'll see you guys next month. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. This is
Yeah.
fun. I love those games too.
Yeah, we had so many left. Oh, well, not really. We only had one left. It was London on the Track, Camper, and D-Mal. I wanted to get that one in so bad.
Oh my God.
Quick.
Okay. London on Track, Camper, D-Mal. So I would go joint camper.
Okay.
Feature D-Mal, and I would have to scrap London on the Track.
You know what? And on that note, that's the end of the episode. Thank you guys for tuning in.